It's time for Live on Lanier. Welcome to Live on Lanier, a monthly podcast brought to you by the Lake Lanier Association. This month, we'll start off talking with LLA Board Member Skip Short regarding the ongoing LLA initiative, Project Armor. Project Armor is protecting another mile of shoreline on some of our lake's most critical islands that are in risk of eroding away. We'll follow that up with longtime LLA Board Member and Hall County Commissioner Billy Powell. Billy was born and raised on Lake Lanier and talks about the important role the Lake Lanier Association plays in protecting our lake. Please feel free to share this episode with your friends and neighbors who have an interest in Lake Lanier. All previous episodes and even more lake-related videos are available on the Lake Lanier YouTube channel. If you'd like more information on how to join the Lake Lanier Association, please take a moment to scan the code on your screen. With all of our upcoming plans and programs, there is no better time to join and be on board for all of 2025 with the Lake Lanier Association. So please scan the code now or check us out at lakelanier.org. One editorial item to note, the first segment was recorded in December before the holidays and the second in January right after the holidays. So if you noticed the change of closing and the different salutations, well, you got me. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be right back with Live on Lanier, brought to you by the Lake Lanier Association.
Lake Lanier Association's initiative for a clean lake preserves and protects Lake Lanier for everyone with programming and education resources like our annual shore sweep cleanup, our Adopt a Lake water testing program, erosion and sedimentation monitoring, abandoned dock and boat removal, and our Clean Lake Pledge. Learn more about the work of the Lake Lanier Association or how to become a member, a volunteer, or to donate at lakelanier.org.
Well, we're being joined now by Skip Short, a board member with the Lake Lanier Association, who's actually been on the lake for quite some time. Skip, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Kirby, for having me.
Give us a little bit of your background. I didn't know till we sat down that you've been boating on this lake for a long time.
I have been here a while. So originally grew up in Gainesville, and I've been here since, early teens, and went to Gainesville High. So I've been here quite a while. Enjoyed the lake pretty much my whole adult life, if you will, and moved away for a little bit, came back, and ended up back on the lake. And just because of the draw, I guess Lake Lanier has, not only from the recreational standpoint, but obviously I'm a pretty big fisherman, so do a lot of that as well.
Cool.
And then got interested in joining the board so I can make a difference and help Lake Lanier, continue to be the jewel that it is, and help mitigate any issues that, from the 12 million visitors that we get a year.
Sure.
So that's been real great achievement for me, I feel like, and I've been on the board now 2 years and real excited.
So having boated on the lake for so long, you've seen a lot of growth, you've seen a lot of changes, you've seen a lot of variety or variations in lake levels, I guess I want to say.
Yep.
You've seen some erosion take place over the years, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Erosion is a big part of, obviously, my background. I'm actually a civil engineer.
Okay.
And so I do a lot of stormwater management, and have my own company that we do that here in Atlanta. So it was a nice fit for me to come on the board and help with erosion control aspects of Lake Lanier and some of the shore erosion parts. So do a lot of, we look at erosion on the lake. We actually had a survey done this about a year and a half ago relative to the lake, and to see how the erosion was happening on these islands specifically. Because the wave action on Lanier, for those of you who have been out on Lanier on a Saturday afternoon, is the waves can get pretty big. So
sure.
We saw a lot of the erosion. We had that, we actually put that out to bid. We got a study back showing the erosion in particular islands that were most susceptible to the wave action. And then we identified those. And what we wanted to do is continue to do the riprap project that was done by LLA a couple years prior. So we call this now Project Armor. And we were looking to do about 5,280 linear feet, so that's essentially a mile.
Sure.
And we identified those 16 islands, and I'm happy to announce that the project is underway, and it did start based on a competitive bid process. So what we did was, after we identified those islands, we put that out to bid. for not only the stone component or the riprap, which is a big part of it, also the installation contractors. There was a few here on the lake, and they all bid it. And then we also had some haulers, because obviously you have to haul the stone, which is actually coming out of the Cumming quarry right off exit 14. So very close, so that helped out tremendously. So through that competitive bid process, we ended up with a installer who then is now underway. We've actually done 4 islands currently, and they're moving very quickly, and we're looking to hopefully have this completed in June.
Well, it's been incredible what you've been able to accomplish in just a couple of years on the board of directors. And on behalf of the entire board, we're all really excited that you're doing what you're doing and being a part of it. I want to circle back and slow down just one little bit, though, because I've already seen, the online people are always trolling and looking for something to poke holes at. I sat through the meetings where the RFP was created, and then I sat through the meetings where the RFP was sent out to everybody and anybody who might be interested, and I sat through the meetings when all of this was determined. Incredibly professionally well handled, and I'd like everyone to know Skip's doing this as a volunteer board member, bringing an incredible level of professionalism for free from the board of directors perspective to get this whole program set up and even organized and understand, so we know what it takes to get it done and get it done right from the very beginning.
Agreed, and I think a lot of it I was very, very helpful in the fact that my own business that I do. We are in construction business, and so we buy a lot of stone. So I know the process, I know the people involved, and so it helped me to ensure that when we did have the bid documents pulled together, the RFP, if you will, that it was met and that the contractors are going to do what they're going to do. And we're very excited about the transparency that was had with that. And so we feel really good about it. They're making nice project progress, and we're also obviously tracking with pictures and on-site visits and things of that nature.
Well, and it comes back to how much shoreline are we really protecting here? And I want to circle right back to that, but I would also want to throw in, if you've been on the lake for a long time, you've seen this somewhere on your end. There was an example that I actually looked at through aerial photography with the real estate specialist at the Corps of Engineers years ago, where just over an 8-year window, some islands that were big enough to build a house on had all but vanished. It's a combination of the lake levels coming up and down, bigger boats creating bigger wakes, more wake surfing boats, more wakeboarding boats, and the popularity of those. Every time those waves hit the shoreline, there's just that minuscule effect that builds up over time. It's had a huge effect, especially over the last 10 to 15 years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a good example would be the point right at Baldridge. I mean, that gets a ton of traffic. That was actually the first island, or it's not even really an island technically. It's more of a point, if you will. But we did take care of that one, and then the second one was right in front of the dam. So both those areas get a lot of traffic. We did move, I'm happy to say, up into mid-lake. So there is some areas identified up in mid-lake where the Chestatee and the Chattahoochee come together. So we're working on those areas as well.
Well, even with the RFPs and having you doing all of this as a volunteer board member, it's a very expensive process. And it's a very detailed process. Fortunately, we have some really good partners in starting the funding for this program.
We did. I can't say enough about the counties that actually encompass the lake. So, for example, Gwinnett County, Hall County, Forsyth County played a huge role in this Project Armor. And without them, we wouldn't be sitting here, to be honest with you. Gainesville provided some funding as well, but it did not essentially take care of all the funding that we need for this particular project. So we're definitely looking for outside sources other than the municipalities to help us get this project continued and finalized.
To be back to, though, we owe a great debt of gratitude to all of those counties, because without that initial funding to get the project off and rolling, we would be nowhere. It's an expensive process.
It is.
And by their participation, we've got enough to get something up and running. Then it becomes, okay, well, how much you're going to be able to accomplish. So in its history, the Lake Lanier Association, and by the way, I think the Corps of Engineers generally gets credit for it, but it's the Lake Lanier Association, through our volunteers, through our members and their participation, and through the counties and other businesses and individuals making donations specifically for protecting the islands, protecting the shorelines. we've already done in our history 2 miles of shoreline. We're looking to add another 50% with another full mile to this current project.
Absolutely, and do it quickly.
Yes.
I mean, we're this speed is of the essence right now, and we're trying to make this happen very quickly. And I will say the Corps is involved. They are obviously issuing the permits.
Sure.
And
cooperating in every way they can with
absolutely.
that. But not with funding.
Correct. But they are helping kind of mitigate and help this thing move forward. So we certainly appreciate their interest and involvement there.
And it's ongoing. So if people are out on the lake now and they see an island or they see a shoreline that they're like, well, look, somebody's taking care of that. They might be able to identify that it was actually us by a banner that they can
That
see
is
or what's
correct.
coming next.
We do have a very large banner that's out there. It would be at each install. So it's moving. It's following the crew, if you will, when they're putting in riprap out. You will see the banner there, and it does thank our partners, thank the counties, the installers, the quarry, everybody that's involved with this particular project, and it will follow the project till the end. Yep.
And we actually are shooting for more mileage than we had the funding for.
Correct.
We did not have enough funding to add another full mile in this current project. So we're coming back to our membership. We're looking to our business partners. Anybody who at all who's interested in helping protect Lake Lanier going forward has an opportunity to do that by the foot. They can buy a foot. They can buy 10 feet.
That's right. Absolutely.
Fund a foot.
Absolutely.
And I think we've got some exciting giveaways that for those that participate.
We do, absolutely. And I can't stress enough, keeping these islands intact and keeping the shoreline intact is a big deal, because obviously once it's gone, it's not going to come back. And we will just continue to, move forward with Project Armor and make things happen.
Well, it's a double-edged sword when they're gone, because they can be quite a distance from what looks like shore if you're not really familiar with boating in that area. And it goes from being an island to an underwater obstruction. They're no fun at all.
No, they're not.
They're really not.
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, one of the big things, Lake Lanier, if everybody recalls, was essentially formulated for the drinking water for City of Atlanta and other municipalities that surround it. So there's certain volumes that they need to have, or the lake was designed for. And, when the erosion does leave, if you will, it does fill the sediment in the bottom of the lake and other areas. So it's certainly a big deal.
So once again, thank you to all the municipalities and counties around the lake. Thank you to everybody who's already helped with Project Armor. And to all those members or business members out there of the Lake Lanier Association, you can go to our website, lakelanier.org, lakelanier.org, and there's a place you can go there to find out how to become a member if you're not, but in specifically direction of Project Armor, how you can fund a foot, fund 10 feet. Heck, so you can go in there and fund another mile if they want to, right?
If you like, absolutely.
Well, we've already done the surveys. We know where we can go next.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
if we do exceed what our current goals are at, it doesn't mean we'll stop. It means we can keep going.
We can keep rolling. Absolutely. And I'm sure all the partners involved would certainly appreciate that as well.
Sure. Well, again, on behalf of the board and all of our members, thank you so much. This really took off when you got on the board, and you've made it your passion project, and it's been a great thing for all of Lake Lanier. So thank you, Skip.
I'm so happy to help. Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Kirby.
We'll be back with more after this.
Lake Lanier Association's initiative for a clean lake preserves and protects Lake Lanier for everyone with programming and education resources like our annual shore sweep cleanup, our Adopt a Lake water testing program, erosion and sedimentation monitoring, abandoned dock and boat removal, and our Clean Lake Pledge. Learn more about the work of the Lake Lanier Association or how to become a member, a volunteer, or to donate at lakelanier.org.
Well, welcome back, and we're joined now by longtime Hall County Commissioner and Lake Lanier Association Board of Director, Billy Powell. Billy, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
I hope you and your family had a great holiday.
We did. Very low key, just no drama. Just
That's always a good thing.
get through it.
And we got to go, I ran into you at a kids concert. Or no, it was a dance actually, a dance recital.
Yeah.
The grandkids out there doing
Ballet.
their thing.
Yeah, that was fun.
So you're, we've also talked right before we started this interview, your time here on Lake Lanier goes pretty much back to birth, doesn't it?
It almost does.
There you
almost
go.
does. Yeah, we talked our father into buying us a ski boat way back when, and we would go just about every single day out on Lake Lanier and ski the whole day during the summers.
Wow, that's a great way to spend the summer, I know.
It was.
Absolutely.
It was good family time.
And it gives you a good passion for what it is that we're doing now, right?
Exactly.
So you've been on the Lake Lanier Association board for a long time. You've been a Hall County Commissioner even longer.
Been a Lake Lanier Association board member for about 10 years, and I just completed my 20th year on the Hall County Commission and was recently reelected for another 4-year term in November.
Well, congratulations, and thank you so much for your service.
Well, thank you.
And as a resident of Hall County, that's how I've known of you for a long time, because of the way that you've always protected landowners on the lake and the lake in general. We could always count on yours stepping up and speaking up on the behalf of the best interest of Lake Lanier.
That is one of the ways that I learned about my district early on, is listening to the residents that are here and taking their thoughts into consideration and protecting the neighborhoods is what I'm passionate about. Is don't negatively affect neighborhoods. So the Yellow Creek Road area that you're familiar with,
I am,
is very politically active, and I learned a lot about them and listened to them, and we defeated a pretty large development early on.
Very nice. Well, and that's exactly the kind of things what we're talking about. You have this little bit of shoreline and a huge piece of land, and somebody wants to turn it into their own retirement program. So next thing you know, the lake's blown up with another 5,000 boats being funneled into one little area. Somebody's got to stop that from happening, or it happens.
That's right.
So we appreciate that, and we appreciate not just your service to Lake Lanier, but the way you've always looked out for Lake Lanier as a resident of Hall County. So water skiing all the way forward. We were talking a few minutes ago about the Olympic Park and the Olympic Village, which was the rowing venue when the Olympics were in Atlanta. Is the year 96?
1996, that's right.
I was surprised to hear that is the only venue from the 96 Olympics left still doing what it was originally built to do.
That's what my understanding is.
That's pretty cool.
Exactly right.
And a lot of newer people to the lake would not realize that venue wasn't intended to live on and on after the Olympics.
No, it was not. It was built to withstand the time frame of the Olympics. And the two local governments, being the city of Gainesville and Hall County, joined forces and supported the venue for years and years and years, and have poured resources into it, and have recently, Gainesville has completely redone the boathouse, and it's a landmark now.
It's amazing. It's going to stand for a long, long time, the way that it's set up now. And still very proud that the Olympics were taking place here on Lake Lanier. Also interesting, they managed to keep the lake levels consistent and full for that whole time, but that's a whole nother conversation.
That's right. And schools still come during the spring and use the venue for its purpose, and have training sessions during the spring break.
That's pretty cool. And one thing I didn't realize at the time, and I've learned more about later, is it has a huge economic impact, not just for Gainesville, but for the entire Hall County and Lake Lanier community.
Yeah, the teams bring huge amounts of people, coaches, parents, whatever, and they frequent the hotels and the restaurants in the area, and it's a pretty big economic boom. And now the boathouse is kind of an economic engine on its own.
That's awesome. Well, Hall County is one of 5 counties on Lake Lanier, so there's a lot of participation that goes all the way around the lake. But there are some things that Hall County just always kind of seems to be out in front and wants to be a part of. We currently have Project Armor happening out on the water.
I'm so proud of Project Armor. And for people not familiar with that, what we are doing, Project Armor, is protecting, in this session, about a mile of shoreline on islands that are eroding in Lake Lanier. And that's not a function that the Corps of Engineers will take on. They give us permission, but we are raising the funds to put riprap along a mile of shoreline in, I think it's 13 or 16 islands that are eroding away.
So that's one of the many reasons we encourage people to join, be a member of, and participate with the Lake Lanier Association. Billy, in your position as having been a county commissioner for so long, you know everybody in state government. You met most of the people involved in federal government, certainly the Georgia delegation. How important is it for the residents of Lake Lanier to have a voice, somebody that can carry the message and talk to somebody who really has a chance to help us?
Well, I think it's extremely important, and it's sometimes very difficult to get through to the Corps of Engineers. So having a relationship with especially our state and federal elected officials, I think is extremely important. Just to have a conduit or a voice to bounce ideas off of and say, how do we help us get something done?
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been on the Lake Lanier Association board, but I know you've been around and seen what the Lake Lanier Association's been involved in for a long time. What's been in your experience of how successful the Lake Lanier Association has been as an advocate for the lake?
Tell you a funny story, Kirby. When I was running my first election campaign in 2004, I was told I need to go to this association meeting and talk to people, and that it was kind of a kooky association, but you need to do it.
Nobody would argue with that assessment at this point.
Yeah. So I went and did my little spiel, and then fast forward probably 10 years later and got really connected to, at the time, Joanna Cloud, and learned a lot more about the mission of the association, how important it was for Lake Lanier, and shortly thereafter, I was asked to join the board. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud to be a member of this association. It's one of the best boards I've ever been a part of. We have a very diverse board, but everybody brings something important and valuable to the table for the association and for the ultimate benefit of Lake Lanier. Mm-hmm. So I'm extremely proud to be a member of the association and encourage everybody out there to join Lake Lanier Association, support our efforts. Let's help join forces and protect Lake Lanier for our future generations, for our grandkids that were at the ballet recital.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's all 5 counties. We're speaking a lot about Hall County, but I know you have relationships with the other 4 counties on the lake, and they all step up at different times, shore sweep, different events, different things taking place. So we're very appreciative of that. One area in particular that you and I talked a little bit about that I've been interested in for more than 20 years trying to get done is a fireboat to get the program started to where we could have strategically placed fireboats all the way around the lake. Hall County has finally taken some pretty big steps forward in that direction.
I am so proud of that. We have been talking about a fireboat for 5 years now, I guess. And it becomes evident when there's a tragedy on Lake Lanier. Sometimes the topography limits the efforts of firemen to get to a house and extinguish a fire. And what better method to supplement their efforts is a fireboat that has the capability to attack the fire from the lake. You got an infinite supply of water. You can get as quickly as you can to the location and attack it from the opposite angle that the fire department is probably doing it. You do a lot of research when you're looking at a purchase of that magnitude, and it's a large investment. But since my involvement on the lake, since growing up, knowing how fast boats go and how slow they can go, I've always been a supporter and encourager of making sure it is a speedy boat and can get to a fire as quickly as possible. I said, it doesn't do any good if you can't get there quickly.
Sure.
So nobody wants a slow fireboat.
Yeah.
So Hall County has ordered it. It's about a 2-year wait time. I think we are probably 1 year into that wait time now, and I'm super excited to see it in action on Lake Lanier.
I'm thrilled for that, and ideally that will be the first of several strategically located all the way around all the different areas of Lake Lanier, so there'll be that type of rapid response. And not to try to project anything negative here, but you look at the tragedy that's taken place with the fires in California because they could not get to where they started to contain them, and the next thing you knew, they blew up into something that was really hard to push back. So that ability to come from the backside, no matter where it gets going, could be huge in avoiding of an even bigger catastrophe.
Exactly, and I think it has a lot more capabilities than just fire rescue. It's got, the rescue portion. There's a lot of accidents on Lake Lanier and a lot of dock fires on Lake Lanier that are sometimes hard to fight from the road. So I'm very hopeful in just the capabilities that it's going to allow the Hall County Fire Rescue.
That's tremendous. And again, now hopefully this is the first of at least 5 strategically located in different locations around the lake, if not more. Thank you for all of your efforts in keeping that conversation moving forward and bringing the first one to fruition.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And I have heard that Forsyth County has ordered their boat as well.
Oh, terrific. That's great news. Well, we'll circle back with them and get that figured out. Any messages you'd like to throw out for the membership with the brand new year starting and a brand new boating season just a few months away?
Well, I'm excited for that season to start.
Yeah. Well, let's go fishing.
I'm through with the cold weather. I'm ready for the warm weather again. Let's all get out on our boats. But I would encourage anybody that has a passion or an interest in Lake Lanier to join the Lake Lanier Association at whatever level you feel comfortable with, and hopefully you will feel passionate about our programs and what we are doing to support a clean, full, and safe Lake Lanier for generations to come.
Amen. Well said. Certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us. Happy New Year. We'll look forward to another successful year on Lake Lanier.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks
Billy.
Thanks again for joining us for Live on Lanier, brought to you by the Lake Lanier Association. Please feel free to share this podcast with your lake friends and neighbors. We'd love you to take time to support the Lake Lanier Association. For more information on how to join and our various programs, just go to lakelanier.org. That's lakelanier.org. Be sure to join us next month for Live on Lanier.